Nigeria's military vows to crush the Boko Haram insurgency. In our Friday Music Makers segment, we'll learn about the Senegalese hip-hop star One Pac. And no spin-off show for a Keeping Up with the Kardashians star. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Topping our broadcast tonight, a U.S. drone strike in Somalia has killed a top official of the militant group Al-Shabaab. The missile strike destroyed a car late Thursday outside the southwestern town of Badr. The vehicle belonged to Aden Guerrier, a top official in Al-Shabaab's security service. Well, to get the latest details on the drone strike, let's go live via Skype to the Pentagon, where VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb is standing by. Carla, can you fill us in on what we know about this strike?
Sure, Vincent. Well, just minutes ago, the Pentagon did confirm that they did conduct a strike in Somalia. They said that they were targeting an area on a road south of Mogadishu in the area of Barer, and they will not say whether or not they have killed the target, and they will not say that who the target is, but we all know that that is Aden Guerrier.
Yeah, but the Somali officials have confirmed that that particular person has been killed in this strike.
Yes, and this person, Aden Guerrier, is a very high-level Somali Al-Shabaab official. If you remember, he was linked to some of the gunmen in the attack on the Westgate Mall in Kenya back in 2013, and he has been leading the Al-Shabaab security services for the past few months.
So this is very significant, and he's not the first person to be killed in a U.S. drone strike, right?
Oh, no, this is becoming a very frequent occurrence in Somalia. If you remember, on December 29th, Talil Abdishakir was targeted back then and was confirmed later that he was killed. And then if you go back even further in September, on September 2nd, the U.S. drone strikes targeted an encampment and a vehicle, and then they were able to kill Ahmed Ghadane, who was the leader of Al-Shabaab.
Very quickly, in terms of the approach to Al-Shabaab compared to, say, Boko Haram, how is the U.S. engaged in this particular region, in East Africa?
Well, the Pentagon has said time and again that they have a great relationship with Somalia, and they're able to work with them with the targeting of Al-Shabaab officials. The problem with Boko Haram in Nigeria is the U.S. and the Nigerian government, the Nigerian military, have been at odds at certain points. The U.S. has offered military assistance, they've offered to help with training, and then it's been taken back. So it's a much harder, it's a much more difficult way to work with countries rather than just have them coordinating at a constant time.
Now, in terms of, this fight with Al-Shabaab, do you hear that the U.S. is going to stay until possibly all the leadership of Al-Shabaab and perhaps all the militants are done with?
Well, the Pentagon will never reveal what they're going to do ahead of time, and they're very conservative on their approach, but they feel that if there is an Al-Shabaab target, as long as they can continue to work with Somali officials, they will target them and they will kill everyone that they can until the threat is no longer there.
But just to be clear on this, there are no boots on the ground in Somalia? No
boots on the ground in Somalia.
All right. Well, Carla, thank you very much for filling us in on the briefing from today. Carla Babb, Voice of America's Pentagon correspondent, reporting live via Skype. Now, turning to West Africa, Nigerian military officials say they are optimistic that their operations to crush Boko Haram militants in the country's northeast will soon be achieved. Military spokesman Major General Chris Olukolade gave that assurance while speaking with journalists after a tour of major towns recaptured from the insurgents by the military. Our correspondent Leonard Lassis reports from Channels TV.
These are some of the communities recently recaptured from Boko Haram insurgents in the northeastern part of the country. Some of the communities show clearly what they suffered in the hands of the insurgents. These are some of the weapons captured from the insurgents. The soldiers on ground are now filled with a new zeal. The soldiers say this battle is one that will be won.
In my AOR, which is Yobe State, like I told you earlier, Yobe State is made up of 17 local governments. And sometimes in the middle of last year, 2 local governments were completely lost to the insurgents. And as I speak to you now, we have just one major town to take to complete the retaking of these 2 local governments, and that is Gonori. And as I speak to you, one of the battalion is already en route to Gonori to take Gonori. We have swept every other place. We are moving to Gonori now, and I'm sure they will take it very soon.
The morale of your men are
very, very high, and they are in a hurry to finish. And they are looking, in fact, they are battle itchy. They are looking for more places to clear the insurgents.
The operation included flying over some of the towns yet to be recaptured. Okay, right now I'm told we're over Madagali, which is one of the towns that we're hoping will soon be reclaimed by the security officials. And what's happening right now is this plane is going over there looking at the action going on ground, even though we're told there's no action there for now. What we have is a situation where the troops, the ground troops, are advancing but have not entered the town yet. So the officials here just go around, observe what's on ground, feed the troops to direct them properly so that this offensive can go on as planned, and hopefully this town will join the list of those towns that have been regained. The soldiers say this battle is one that will be won.
If you look at everything from Maiduguri through Monguno up to Bama has been cleared. We've cleared all along the route again on the direction of Maiduguri, Dikwa, Gamborungala, which previously had been impassable, and the activities were prevalent in those areas. So the important thing is the tempo of this mission is continuing. As I speak to you, possibly before we finish this meeting, additional towns will have joined among those that have been recovered.
This offensive is still ongoing, and the soldiers said never again will insurgents take over any part of the country. Lanre Lasise, Channels Television News.
Well, now to the growing relationship between Boko Haram and the Islamic State extremist groups. In a new development, the Islamic State, which controls parts of Syria and Iraq, has accepted a pledge of allegiance from Boko Haram. In an audio statement released Thursday, an Islamic State spokesman welcomed what he called the expansion of the country's self-declared Islamic Caliphate to West Africa. Boko Haram leader Abu Bakr Shekau last week pledged in a video that his group will hear and obey Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Both groups follow their own strict interpretation of the Quran, but it's unclear what their public allegiance will bring. Well, to discuss further the growing allegiance between Islamic State and Boko Haram, we are joined by Kwaku Nuama, is a senior fellow at the Center for Conflict Resolution. He is also an adjunct professor at American University. Professor Nuama, welcome to Africa 54.
Thanks for having me, Vincent.
So this came somehow, for some perhaps caught them as a little surprise, but now it looks confirmed. The ISIS is saying, yes, we accept your allegiance to us. What do you make of this?
Well, it says a number of things. I think both ISIS and Boko Haram are desperate. ISIS has lost ground. They just lost Tikrit. And Boko Haram is losing ground. Nigerian government has brought in mercenaries from South Africa and from former Soviet Union countries. We've seen Chad.
Well, the Nigerian government is saying those are not mercenaries.
Yes.
The president of Nigeria and
but
officials are saying, well,
helping.
they're people who have been brought in to help train.
Okay.
And they may be armed, but they're training Nigerian soldiers and perhaps others to help.
Well, the
fight
effect
Boko
is
Haram.
that they are beginning to push back Boko Haram. So Boko Haram is under pressure. ISIS is also under some pressure. There were reports of internal dissension in ISIS. So this works. And I've seen some reports dismissing that in mere propaganda. Yeah. I think that going, further down the road, this could actually mean something.
So first, you're saying something really critical here, that both groups are actually losing. That means Nigeria is doing a good job, of course, with the help of
Niger and Chad,
Chad.
Pushing back.
ISIS is being hit hard,
Very
of
hard.
course, by the Peshmerga with the support of the airstrikes from the U.S. coalition.
Iran in there.
Yeah,
also.
so what will this achieve if the two groups start kind of working together?
Well, a number of things. First, legitimacy. Both groups get some type of legitimacy from this. ISIS has been trying to build a global brand. A terrorist group that holds territory will be short-lived. If you have a territory, you have an address. It means that some people can hit you. Eventually, they're going to morph into what Al-Qaeda became, a global franchise. So this is important for them, for their image as a global jihadist group that's pushing against the West. This allows them to say, look at us, other people are signing up. They've seen other groups in Egypt and Libya also swear allegiance. So this is growing. For Boko Haram, it allows them to tap into a global franchise. And that has implications for funding, but also a reciprocal system of recruitment. So it can help them. It's not going to be the reason why they win, but it's good for now.
President Goodluck Jonathan said he believes that Boko Haram has been trained in some Middle Eastern countries. So do you get the sense that there has been that kind of a movement where you actually will have some fighters from Nigeria going all the way to perhaps Syria or
There's
Iraq?
going to be some of that. And if you saw the acceptance statement that ISIS released, they were telling Muslims who can join them to go fight in Africa. So this has implications. There are people that are going to recruit, they're going to flock to Boko Haram maybe because they can't get to the Middle East to join this fight. It has
so it may
negative
draw people
effects
from
too.
other African countries too.
It can, but
now,
it can affect them in a negative manner too.
One other question. You did actually mention Al-Qaeda. Where is Al-Qaeda right now? What's happening to Al-Qaeda?
I think Al-Qaeda has just been upstaged as a global flag bearer for jihadis by Boko Haram, if it truly becomes. And they have funding. But I think that the long-term survival of ISIS, first of all, it's not going to be a state. That's not how you become a state. And it's not a group like, a group like Al-Shabaab that is fighting a civil war. It's carving up territory from different countries. Those countries are going to push back eventually.
Now,
but they can exist as an idea, as a symbol of the fight against the West.
It looked like Al-Qaeda seemed to have a little more sympathy, perhaps because their approach to whatever their agenda was looked a little more, different than what we're seeing. The viciousness of IS, Islamic State. Do you get the sense that perhaps because of how barbaric it is, how it displays all this barbarity, perhaps they may not win as much support across even the Arab world?
Well, it depends on who they are pitching this stuff to. There are people who like how ISIS does these things, the recruitment. We've seen Boko Haram imitating some of them, some of the tactics, filming the beheadings and all that stuff. Al-Qaeda is a much more traditional terrorist organization. ISIS is different. It's very different.
But those acts, are they not revolting?
They are revolting to you and me, but to people who want to see Westerners punished and people who want to see.
But they're doing this to fellow Muslims.
They are. That's very important. That's a very important distinction to make, because if you look at the acceptance statement, they were referring to Boko Haram as a Sunni Muslim group in Africa. So there are a lot of people who, remember, ISIS is not just fighting against Christians and Jews, they're also fighting against Shia Muslims.
That's right.
So this is going to be an interesting tactic to see if there are Muslims in Africa who are not Sunni, how does this appeal to them? But as in terms of the strategy that they're using, it's meant to be a warning to people who will fight them. But I guess it appeals to some people. They have a very sophisticated media strategy that gets a lot of attention. The things that they do is meant to shock, and it gets a lot of coverage in the media. Right? So it seems to be working.
We've been shocked, though, but we hope this are the
but
last
this
days
was coming, though. If you were watching Boko Haram, they were gradually indicating that they wanted to be affiliated with ISIS. They've been dropping hints.
You see a lot of duplication in their actions and video recordings. Well, Professor Nwama, thank you very much for joining us today. Well, Professor Nwama Kwaku Nwama is a senior fellow at the Center for Conflict Resolution and adjunct professor at American University. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered during the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, in our Music Maker segment, Senegalese hip-hop musician One Pac. Stay with us.
As Nigeria heads to the polls March 28th, Voice of America reporters head to the field, covering the election campaigns and the issues for Nigeria and all of Africa. Turn to Voice of America for the facts. Nigeria Decides 2015. What happens there matters throughout Africa. VOA has the largest team of international journalists in Nigeria and surrounding countries, counting down to the March 28th election and beyond. VOA's Nigeria Decides 2015 coverage is on radio with Daybreak Africa, Africa News Tonight, and Nightline Africa. On television with Africa 54 and Straight Talk Africa. And stay on top online. Go to voanews.com. Special Nigeria Decides 2015 coverage is underway now. A commitment to Africa from Voice of America.
Welcome back. It's Music Makers Friday, and today we bring you the sensational Senegalese hip-hop star, One Pac. Here to tell us about him is VOA's Khalil Gay. Welcome, Khalil, once again.
Thank you.
Now, we did actually introduce this young man, or this gentleman, on this program about 2 weeks ago, but we promised that we will bring him back.
Yes.
And this is why. You actually met him.
Yes,
Where did you meet him?
I met him in Saint Louis, Senegal.
Yeah.
During a party he was playing with his band.
Yeah.
And, lots of fans around him.
He's a popular guy.
Popular guy.
Yeah.
Really.
You know what? I don't want us to spend a lot of time talking about it because, Khalil Gay, you did bring us a report. And so, therefore, to know more about One Pac, Khalil Gay prepared this report and now shares with us.
For many young Senegalese, One Pac is the new star from the north, the face and the new voice of Senegal's former capital, Saint Louis. He is young and he loves music. And that's why after his master's degree from the University of Dakar, he heard another call, the call of hip-hop.
sango si géej gi lenqalikoo ci dex gi doon doomu ndar biir bëgg sama dëkk ba jeex ci fala juddoo yaroo màggee ba doon li ma doon amel naa la njukkal juddoo ndar rek doy na koom.
One Pac was born in Saint Louis, Ndar, in Wolof, the former capital of French West Africa. St. Louis's sophistication and openness to the world brought to this part of Africa several influences from Europe, the Arab world, and the United States of America. In the mid-40s, jazz was introduced to Senegal by the GIs, and later, jazz bands flourished and developed in the Senegalese northern city. One Pac grew up listening to the records from his father's collection. Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Creedence Clearwater Revival, you name it. But hip-hop is the music of his generation.
Drapeau bi naa ko flottel lu mu tar tar aw ma gaadu old school te du ma gan ci game bi vision futuristique góolu ma ci beneen air bi hip-hop gaa scène bi dafa bëri ma riirandoo.
As a Senegalese, as an African, I feel this music. At the beginning, I was doing hip-hop music, but I started to make some research, and finally I knew that there is a connection between hip-hop, soul, and jazz, and that is to say that hip-hop is soul, soul is hip-hop, and hip-hop is jazz.
One Pac raps and sings. He brings in his songs melodies drawn from the music of the 60s and the 70s. This innovation proved very successful.
One Pac is a great artist. I think he got a lot of things to show, and his type of music is very different from what we hear here in Senegal.
One Pac's songs treads the same ground that dominated his parents' states and prompted his musical curiosity. And the line where soul, jazz, and rock and roll ends and hip-hop begins in these songs has never been blurrier than it is in the line where he says, "Don't put a barrier in your mind and believe you are making a career." Khalil Gay for VOA News, Saint Louis, Senegal.
So he's saying, well, don't put a barrier in your head and think of making a career. So he's a guy who's also philosophical. That's a very wise guy.
Yeah.
You know, I want to thank you very much,
thank you
Khalil,
for having me.
For yet, beautiful, fantastic music makers segment today. Well, it's time now for a short break, still to come on Africa 54. The reality TV star pulls the plug on a spin-off show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Just a few weeks ago, it was a go for Keeping Up with the Kardashians' dad, Bruce Jenner, and his planned docu-series for E!, chronicling his transition from male to female. But now, Jenner has halted production, and the future of the show is unclear. A source tells People magazine that the 65-year-old former Olympian's primary goal is to raise awareness and help others in the transgender community. But he is not sure that E! and a reality show is the best format to do that. Stay tuned. Well, next up, a report of a shooting at the Miami Beach home of Grammy-winning rapper Lil Wayne was declared a hoax by police after search found no evidence of victims or shots fired. Miami Beach police tweeted that the incident appeared to be a swatting call, referring to a trend of police receiving false emergency calls, sometimes targeting celebrities. Swatting calls have previously sent police to the homes of actor Ashton Kutcher and singers Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus. Well, and finally, a photographer and Navy veteran is fighting back after a photo she posted to Facebook started an online backlash. The photo from a military family's newborn photo shoot showed a newborn infant wrapped in an American flag held by his father, who was in his military uniform. The photographer is Vanessa Hicks, and not only is she a Navy veteran, she is the wife of an active duty Navy member. After posting the photo, her Facebook page and personal website were flooded with angry comments from critics who say she desecrated the flag. Hicks responded that the flag is a symbol of U.S. freedoms, including the First Amendment right to free speech. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's time for our Friday Sports Report, and for the latest championship boxing news, here's Sonny Young with the sunny side of sports. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, Vincent. We're going to begin with boxing. Sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. Let's begin with boxing. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather faced off in Los Angeles to promote their welterweight showdown on May 2nd. The big bout is expected to be the highest-grossing fight of all time. The Filipino star Pacquiao is hoping to be the first prize fighter to beat Floyd Money Mayweather. We'll hear from both boxing champions now. First Pacquiao and then Mayweather.
To the fans of boxing, I think, I believe that is what are you waiting for since 5 years ago. So I think the fight is on, and you're very excited. I know you're very excited, and we're both of us we're going to undergo a hard training for this fight, and we will do our best and on May 2 to make you happy.
May 2nd, the fight of the century. It's all about the best fighting the best. And Pacquiao is one of the best fighters of this era. And everything's about timing. And you know, I think we couldn't choose a better time. You know, our game plan is just to be smart and take one fight at a time, like all 47 fights.
Floyd Mayweather has won all 47 of his prize fights since turning professional in 1996. Manny Pacquiao's pro record is 57 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws. We heard Mayweather describe their encounter as the fight of the century. I'm hoping this big bout lives up to that billing when they trade punches on May 2nd in Las Vegas. And Vincent, I know I mentioned how this is supposed to be the highest grossing fight of all time. According to published reports, Mayweather will get 60% of the final pool of money, and Pacquiao will get 40%. Breaking that down, at a minimum, they think Mayweather is going to get $120 million.
Wow, not forgetting
that. And Pacquiao, a minimum of $80 million.
And that is whether either way, whether you win or lose, they're going to come out with millions of dollars.
No question about it. This is going to set a lot of box office records.
Man already made like, what, $100 million in the last bout?
Yeah, in fact, on that note, Vincent, Forbes magazine and several other magazines say Mayweather is probably the wealthiest athlete in the world. Just a tremendous bank account.
We can't even start talking about the price for the tickets. Right now, we're talking about, what, some are going for up to $25,000.
That's right.
Yes. Well,
that's the sunny side of sports.
Well, thanks a lot, Sonny. And remember, you can join Sonny right here every Monday and Friday. And that's our show for today. Thanks a lot for being with us. We want to wish you a great weekend from all of us here in Washington. Wonderful being with you. See you.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music. Ali.
On.
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoos oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Mareykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents.
A roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.